Hello again and welcome back. Round 20 of our second season here in F1 2019, closing up on the season finale next week, Abu Dhabi. We're nearly to the end of our second full season, and we are fresh off of another victory at our home race in the USA. That one was a little bit tougher. Had to defend our position till the very end against Max Verstappen there, but we're carrying some pretty decent momentum into the last couple of races of the season, headed off to Brazil. Looks like it's going to be a dry weekend, so luckily, most of the second half of this season, we haven't had to contend with too much rain. We're going to pop in. Only 2 races left to go, so we're going to go ahead and slap on the remaining freshest components that we've got left. Those will take us to the end of the season. You can see we had a lot of stuff that we'd only run at one race. It's in like the 5 to 7% wear range. So we'll get a whole fresh power unit in. Hopefully that'll give us a bit of a power advantage around this track coming up, but now that that's all swapped in, let's head over to qualifying.
Welcome to qualifying here in Interlagos as the cars are readying up for what's likely to be a very important session. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
Alright, so here we are, a little bit overcast on our second flying lap there. We've already put one in as a banker, and you can see as we roar our way down through the Senna S's to start off the second flying lap here. Managed to get out just ahead of that Alpha so it doesn't hold us up around the lap. Kind of a tough circuit, not a lot of track grip on a lot of these exits, a lot of low speed exits, so it does tend to eat the tires a little bit, and then a couple kind of tough 1-2 corners back to back before we hit these hard braking zones for these hairpins here. And a nice downhill. Really have to be super patient through that corner, wait to get on the throttle, shoot yourself up the hill, and then on the brakes. Not too hard, and the car is pretty unsettled at that point coming into that hairpin, so you are at big risk of locking up. And then if you get the line right, you can flat out that left-hander and then down into the final braking zone, where if you miss that last corner, you are going to carry that time loss for a long time as you're down the main front straight with a couple of kinks at it. But that is a long way to carry some missed time. But we cross the line third at the moment. We're going to pop back out towards the end of the session here, sitting P9 at the moment. So well within the cut line there. It's picked up a little bit of time in the middle sector. It looks like not as good down the back straight. You can see that delta just dropping as we lose time out of that final section there. But we managed to go 8th in Q1, so comfortably into Q2 in that top 15. So here we are out on medium tires, back-to-back flying laps. You can see big delta improvements so far, almost about a half a second there. And pick up even more coming out of that final corner. We are picking up also a little bit of a slipstream off Perez here, which should help us out down the straight. And at the moment we're sitting 10th, but we cross the line and go up to P5. And you see actually Giovinazzi was trying to make it through on the mediums, just barely missed it out. He went P11. End of story, we went P9, so we're into Q3. We are going to be able to start the race on those medium tires that only have a couple laps of wear in them at this stage. But here we go, popping. The sun has come out for the tail end of Q3 here, and we are on our final flying lap here. Picked up about 4/10 so far. We didn't have particularly great flying laps early on, but we have a little bit of a wheel spin and a bobble coming into the hairpin. Lose a little bit of time, but we managed to get out and pick it back up. Looks like Verstappen is on provisional pole right now as we dive into the final corner, try and get a good exit. Not great. You see us losing time on that delta. Now we're going to hug the inside of the circuit, try and make the shortest line possible all the way to the start-finish line. See where we can put ourselves on the grid with the session over. And P4, so second row provisionally right now on the grid. So not a bad result.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three. Verstappen, Bottas and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
There you go, Leclerc just ahead of us, our current kind of championship rival, only a couple hundredths faster, but we are a full half second off of Verstappen's best pace there. But let's get ourselves headed to the race.
As surely as the sun rises in the morning, the Brazilian Grand Prix packs out the grandstands and creates incredible drama. Title deciders, heartbreak, triumph and home glory. All these and more can be found in abundance here at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? What a season they've had. A well-deserved championship victory and the pressure now surely off with the title already in the bag.
I agree it's been a truly impressive season, but championship or no, I don't think they'll be gently cruising around to the finish line. In fact, with points no longer a concern, there's a lot less to risk, so we may even see a more aggressive approach.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position and Oldtimer completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Weber, Vettel, Lewis Hamilton and Ricciardo, Norris, Giovinazzi, Verstappen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Carlos Sainz, Perez, Grosjean, Kimi Raikkonen and Russell. Butler, Stroll, Kevin Magnussen and Charles Leclerc. Gasly and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, the run into turn 1 isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
All right, looks like a lot of grid penalties out there for today's race, so we move ourselves up to P2 on the grid, on the front row here this time. So we are going to have some quick cars charging back up through the pack there. We're going to go on that medium to soft, and the tires should be able to handle it in theory. So a little bit slow off the line as the lights go out. A lot of cars are going to sweep to the outside. We're going to hold this inside line, trying to get through safely. We managed to slot right into Lucas, right behind Lucas Weber there, and managed to only lose one position on the start. So not bad all told, getting off the line there. We do have, it looks like Danny Rick right behind us as well, and Bottas out in the front right now and is already starting to set a blistering pace on those soft tires. They're starting to check out in front of us. We are on a slower tire than all of those around us, as we typically are on this strategy, so we're going to have to do what we can to defend the position until those softs start to fall off of those guys and we start to get a tire advantage. We are running a little bit of a higher downforce setup than standard. I think I'm going 7.7 when middle road is 6.6 on front rear. Typically I would set the car up to be a little bit more loose. I would typically go like a 7.6 front rear. But just the amount of high-speed sweeping corners, the back end really wants to step out on those. So it's definitely something we set to balance the car a little bit more. Sacrifices nose in some of the hairpins, but it could be worse. Could be worse. But you can see Bottas already jumping out to a pretty hefty lead as we roll through the Senna S's. Turned down the DRS or ERS deployment there, but looks like Ricciardo's getting a good run. We're going to try and squeeze him to the inside, but he's going to get fully through there on the brakes. Not much we could do. He just got too good of a run, probably running in a higher deployment mode than we were, trying to recover some of our energy after running pure hot lap the first time around. So now we've got Vettel right behind us with Ricciardo directly in front. You can see that gap. The first and second cars are just kind of running a little further away each time we come through. So it's got to try and settle down. Doesn't look to be a lot of battles going on through the field at this point. Everybody's just kind of running their own race, kind of managing their tires at the early stages until fuel starts to burn off. Then you can be a little bit more aggressive. But right now, our eyes are ahead. We want to try and get past Ricciardo again, which is tough because, again, we're running a little bit higher downforce, so we don't have quite the same straight line speed advantage, even with DRS open, which will be coming available starting this next lap here. Not a lot of overtaking opportunities around this track. Pretty much into turn 1 is your best opportunities. We're going to go ahead and jump ahead to lap 5, and then the second best opportunity is down this little back straight coming into turn 5, I believe it is. But we're getting a decent run on Ricciardo there. We're going to look to the inside, but not quite slow it down enough. We run wide on the exit, and he's able to sneak back through, so a little bit over-aggressive on the brakes. No lockups there, but definitely compromised our exit, and that puts Lewis Hamilton right on our gearbox. It looks like Vettel is kind of shuffled back a bit. We've got the 2 Red Bulls behind Hamilton there, and then the red dot of Sebastian Vettel there. So he's going to have to get himself back on track. Not the best start for him, but yeah, you see the 2 Red Bulls have made their way through as well. So we are still staring at the back end of Daniel Ricciardo. Here we are coming into the final corner to get, well, not real final corner, but final real corner. This little kink is counted as another corner before we hit the DRS, so maybe we can get a run on him here. It looks like we might be just a little bit too far back. Catching into the brake zone, not close enough to really make an attack. So we're going to try and get a good run through the S's here and set him up on the next DRS straight. But at the same time, we are worried about Hamilton, who's been closing up on us every time we run through a corner set here. So he is starting to put some pressure on us as well. We got to try and not make a mistake, get close enough to Danny Rick to make that move happen. We are starting to form a bit of a train. Danny Rick kind of holding up the whole group. He got some good benefit moving up through those grid penalties. Has had a good start to his race. Got past me. The Renault's had some good development late season. I think they're going to take a step back when we hit the start of the new season, because they're spending points on upgrading their car, not necessarily spending it on adapting. So here we are, a lot closer this time out of the final corners. Got the DRS open. We're going to go around the outside of him. Full hot lap deployment there. We're going to get well clear of him into the braking zone. A little bit of a lockup, but we managed to get clean through. But we are at risk down this next DRS straight. And it looks like Hamilton also took advantage of Daniel Ricciardo being a little bit out of place. As Hamilton goes down the outside of us, we're going to go ahead and battle and squeeze him off to the side. And now Ricciardo is really under attack. I mean, you got the Red Bull getting by him. Basically, our one move to going around the outside got him off of ideal line, and he lost a lot of pace through the S's and put himself at major risk to the cars behind. But we've managed to clear him. But Hamilton at this point is not going away. He is right on our back end. And Daniel Ricciardo is now the member of the Red Bull sandwich that we have spent a lot of time in the closing stages of this season being a part of, in between Gasly and Verstappen. A little bit of a lockup into the final corner there as we get up a little bit on the entry curbing to try and widen that entry, but we managed to get the car turned in, but we are under attack. DRS, we're going to move to the inside, kind of protect down that inside, but Hamilton's got a great run on us. We're going to see if we can battle him into the S's, be a little bit later on the brakes. Kind of got the switch back. We're side by side. He's going to sneak his way just through us, but we're going to switch back to the inside, try and make it through. But we were just ahead through the detection zone, so we do not get DRS. And now we are 3 wide as Verstappen goes up the inside and takes that position off of us as well. But we are going to fight back with him. A little bit of wheel banging as he keeps turning into us down that tight left-hander. But we managed to take that position back. as he was slowed up by Hamilton in front. Hamilton was not quick on the throttle getting off that corner, so we were able to run it up the inside and take our position back. But caught a collision warning with Verstappen banging wheels there, and a little bit of lockup into the hairpin, and that's going to give Verstappen another run at us. But we managed to just get on his front wing, not give him enough room, close the door on him, and hold him off. Now this time we will have DRS coming through, so we'll be able to, while we may not have a great shot at running down Hamilton, we will be able to defend against Verstappen. And here we are. See if we can close that gap to Hamilton. We did turn down the ERS deployment. We are running pretty low, so rather than overspend it and put ourselves at risk in the next corner, we'll just concede the position there, not make a full lunge on it and try and build some of our electric deployment back up. But here at lap 9, the tires are already starting to feel pretty rough on the mediums, and the softs are still putting up pretty good pace. So for some reason, where we normally would get the changeover where the mediums start to become faster than the softs, we're just really not seeing that at this point. And the tires are just absolutely getting chewed up, and we're starting to see lockups in a few different corners. And you see the back end step out as even a little bit of throttle spun those rears up. But Verstappen kind of looks down to the left of us, but we have the inside of the next set of corners, so he's not able to make a full move on us there. But the wheel spin has really cost us. Hamilton's kind of run out a little bit ahead. We aren't going to be able to attack him into turn 1, and we might be outside that 1 second too. Let's see. Yeah, we have fall out of that 1 second range because of the wheel spin, and Verstappen gets his nose down the inside of us, is able to get clear. Vettel is also making a good run down the inside as we're out of position, and he's able to make his way through us there. So we lose another 2 positions. We're all the way down to 6th now, as again, for some reason, these mediums are falling off faster than these guys on the softs, who are really still showing really good pace on the soft tires. We are not getting that advantage. But let's hop ahead. Lap 14, a few of the other cars have been made their pit stops in front, so we're up to 2nd. Bottas, I believe, would be jumping in pretty soon. Yep, he's jumping in now. But Giovinazzi, still running his starting softs, is right on our tail. And we are doing everything we can to try and defend from him. He's got DRS wide open. He's going to look to the inside. We have a little bit of a lockup into the S's here, and he manages to just get his gearbox in front of our front wing and snag that position off of us. Again, even though the tire wear indicators saying we were in the mid 30%, like the tires feel like they had already fallen off the cliff. You can see, the nose doesn't want to bite in as we hit some of our braking points anymore, and that's that's a sign of the front tires being worn. You see just how much extra steering lock I'm having to apply to get the car turned in. We're having to be so gentle out of these hairpins on the throttle because the tail end just wants to spin on us real bad at this point. And here, rear tire lockup. Even though we've got 64% front brake bias, the rears are still locking up into that hairpin. But maybe we can get ourselves in a good position on the exit here against Giovinazzi. We are in DRS range, so we're going to go ahead and crank up the deployment and get this position back from him, hopefully. So DRS is open. We are going to look around the outside. It looks like we're going to get pretty clear of him. We are going to cut off the front of his nose there, make sure he can't dive up the inside of that corner. We managed to snag that position back off of him fairly comfortably, but we are going to be under attack again, so we're going to move to the inside. If he's going to pass us, he's going to have to go around the outside, but he wasn't able to close the gap enough into the brake zone, so we swing back out before we get on the brakes, get on the ideal line so we're not compromising our exit speed of that corner. But we managed to hold him off through that second DRS zone, and now we just have to kind of try and hold this position. He's definitely should be pitting in the next lap or so, hopefully, to give us a chance to get a little bit of breathing room and run these mediums in some clean air. But right now the mediums are not in a particularly good way, and he's going to have a DRS down the main straight. So hopefully he dives into the pits this time around, give us a little bit of breathing room and a little bit of relaxation. We've been in an absolute battle from the start of the race, aside from 2 or 3 laps as DRS was just enabled and we were behind Ricardo. But it looks like, yeah, Giovinazzi has dipped into the pits now. So we're going to hop ahead. Lap 19, totally clear air that whole time for us and it's time for us to come get a fresh set of tires. Not the best pit entry there. Could have waited a little bit longer on the brakes, but the medium tires were definitely screaming at this point, and I wasn't really trusting them to not lock up and cause us a penalty. So we're going to throw on these soft tires to get out. You see a lot of the other cars running the hard tires for this final stint here. So we should have a bit of a pace advantage, although the way the mediums wore off, we've still got to go 16 laps on the softs here, and I'm a little bit concerned about the life. So we come back out of the pits in P8, not the best. So we hop ahead, lap 23. We've caught up to the battle, and a lot of 2x2 running. Verstappen, Giovinazzi, Hamilton, we're all together. We kind of have a look down the inside, but Hamilton kind of slows us up, and we're even off the throttle coming into this corner right now because Hamilton is just having to back out so much. We try and look for a spot in the braking zone, but them running 2x2 does not allow us a chance to lunge up the inside. So we've really just got to settle in, buy our time, and see if we can't find an opening. It really doesn't help running behind two cars like this. We're losing so much downforce off the front wing in the dirty air that we're really burning up our soft tires, and it's really harming our ability to utilize that pace advantage. And we need to be running to keep the tires alive the rest of the way through this race too. But we managed to get a good exit off the inside of Hamilton there. He kind of pinches us down onto the apex of that corner, but we're going to open up DRS, try and carry the pace, get by him. We managed to just squeeze off into the braking zone. Little bit of a lockup on that front left. Very tough to hit that ideal range with ABS off, but we managed to just stay ahead. Hamilton's got a good run down this next straight, though. We're going to take a peek behind us. Move to the inside, force him around to go the long way, but he doesn't make a lunge there. So now hopefully we should be able to start chasing down Giovinazzi in front of us. Still a fair number of laps left to go, still 12 laps left in this race. We basically got the podium right ahead of us there in Sebastian Vettel. Bottas and Webber have kind of checked out. You see they're a good 2-3 corners ahead of us at this stage. So we'd really have to clear this group quick and have the soft tires really overperform for the rest of the race in order to close that gap. So it's looking right now like our best opportunity left is a podium, which honestly it's a little disappointing that a podium is the best we can do when we started second on the grid, but the medium tires just did not perform the way I was hoping they were going to. They really fell off quick, and we lost a lot of ground. I mean, you saw when we went into the pits, before the pit cycle started, we were P6, and when we came out of the pit cycle, P8. So that means those extra laps we ran on the mediums just did not have the pace to stay alive. It probably would have been better to go soft hard like a lot of these other guys are, but we're locked into the strategy at this point, so we just got to try and do the best with what we've got here. And another spot that really hurts the tire wear is that flat-out left-hander on the softs. When you're in dirty air, your tires are very skittish. You have kind of little hops as you slide your way out towards the edge of the track, and you really got to catch yourself before you hit that curbing on the right, which is not a short curb. It's pretty tall curbing, so dangerous. But you see there's a move being made past Vettel there to take over that third place. Vettel is starting to lose some pace compared to the Red Bulls. I wouldn't say lose pace. The Red Bulls are just head and shoulders above the rest on car development right now. So now we've got to try and get past one of these Red Bulls here. Giovinazzi in front of us to start here. Again, Sector 2, there's just nowhere really to go passing-wise. If you get a great run, you can dive into this hairpin here. But other than that, you're pretty much single file through this whole sector until you get out to the final lap. Because this second hairpin, the car's just so unloaded coming out of that slow, long left-hander that you really can't jump on the brakes. You really got to be easy on the brakes in that second hairpin. But we've got a good setup here against Giovinazzi now. He is going to have DRS to work off of Vettel, but we should be able to turn up the DRS. So we're going to just stick our nose down the inside, try and get by him here. We are side by side into the braking zone here. We're going to delay our turn in just slightly to compromise his line, make him go long way around, and we managed to just get him off his line and sneak past him. And so now we got to try and chase down Sebastian Vettel, which should be a little bit easier, as the Red Bulls have been making pretty easy work of him so far. He's definitely off of Verstappen's pace, but we do need to make that move quick, because Verstappen will start to open up a gap on Vettel. All he's got to do is clear that 1 second range. It's really the DRS zones that are keeping Vettel in contact with Verstappen at this stage of the race. We got yellow flags behind us, and a blue dot of a Red Bull is dropping way off, so Giovinazzi appears to, yes, be out of the session. Unfortunate for them, although Red Bull has already locked up the Constructors' Championship.
Increase ERS deployment. It's time to use some of this charge.
All right, and yeah, as Jeff said, time to use up some of this charge. We've been running in the medium mode while we were in the dirty air, just because we weren't really going to be able to make passes through those areas, so charge up it for as much as we can, save some ERS for when it comes to the actual attack times. A little wide through the second part of the Senna S. You can see how much ground they pick up. If you just miss your line through the S's, you lose a lot of pace down this back straight, and an easy overtake, no, I wouldn't say easy overtaking, but a good overtaking opportunity turns into a desperate just kind of cling to the tail end of the guy in front if you miss that run. But here we are kind of catching this group. We do have the ability to kind of reel this group in during Sector 2 because of our higher downforce, but again, we can't make a move through here. So it really comes down to setting ourselves up. So we're getting on the hot lap early as we come through, so we can get as good a run out of the flat-out left-hander here to keep ourselves nice and close into the braking zone. We have plenty of battery charge to do it. And we look to have a decent exit on Vettel there, so we're going to get in the slipstream. We're going to pop open DRS, see if we can't make a move on Vettel here, even if it's a little bit of a send-it moment. So he's going to move to the inside of Verstappen. So that's going to, we're not going to go 3 wide into turn 1. That's just not smart. So we're turn the ERS down, settle back into where we're at, but Vettel and Verstappen are kind of scrapping away. That's going to give us an opportunity to set ourselves up down the back straight here with our DRS open. Try and find a place as they're wiggling and weaving all over the place. A little bit of a lockup as we tried to get late on the brake zone, but their constant movement really didn't allow us to pick a line to make a move at that stage. So really a lost opportunity there because of their squabbling in front of us. Really, I thought we could have made a move. Verstappen with a little mistake going wide, and that runs us up behind him. So we have to back out to avoid contact, avoid damaging our front wing on the back end of his car there. So we lose a little bit of pace through that next little bit of Sector 2, but once again, we are right on the gearbox as we are setting ourselves up for the final corners to get down that long DRS straight. So we need another good exit to try and make a move. We've got to get clear of this group to get into the podium positions, and we're all the way to lap 29. We've run a lot of time off the clock here, so DRS is open. Verstappen's looking to the inside of Vettel. We are going to take some of the Verstappen's slipstream. We are also going to go to the inside of Vettel and just kind of defend down the inside of the corner and lock him out through the S's. So Verstappen is our next target. We've got 6 laps left to go. He's on the hards, which are basically going to hold their performance all the way to the end of the race. We are on a faster tire right now, but as we get to the last couple of laps, we are definitely going to hit a major fall-off point in the soft tires. So if we are able to get by, we're not going to be able to run away from him. We are going to have to defend our position and try and keep that position off. It will not be an easy podium, just like it was not an easy win last week, battling with Verstappen in the closing stages at the US. Now, it was a little unfortunate for Lewis Hamilton in the USA. He was leading the race by a good margin when his engine gave out on him and handed us the lead at that stage of the race, and by virtue of that, we were able to chase down Verstappen in the closing stages for the win and then hold him off. But I think Hamilton definitely would have been up for the race win in that category. We might have had a chance to battle with him and take that position. We were kind of reeling him in a bit, but it would not have been as good of a situation for us there. But hey, 2 wins on our career. I came into the start of this season with the goal of coming, best of the rest, so top 7 in the or 7th in the Drivers' Championship. We're sitting 3rd, and then the team is best of the rest. Really, what it comes down to is George Russell not really contributing a ton of points this season. Has really been off the pace for the most part, but we are having a good run of sorts, and we've had a lot of podiums so far this season, and now in this closing stages, a couple of wins, and hopefully we've got enough resource points at the last 2 races of this season to get the adaptations for the next season done, and we'll have a good car at the start of next season, because I do feel there are a few cars that are going to take some steps back, but we are still kind of trying to reel in Verstappen here. Decent exit off the final corner here. We'll see if we're in a close enough range to open that rear wing and have a go at him into turn 1. So here's the wing open. Electric fully deployed. We've got a great run so far. We're going to move to the inside. We actually pick up the fastest lap. And we are side by side through turn 1, but we are able to clear it out for turn 2. So now at this stage, we've really got to try and make as much ground as we can while these soft tires are still, alive and not toast. And you heard Jeff there, 6 seconds to the car ahead. So with only 4 laps left to go, we're not really running that kind of pace. So I'd say the front 2 are going to kind of run their way to the end. They're going to be their only fight. So here we are, hopping ahead, lap 36 coming out of the final corners. We're turned everything up. Verstappen, you can see in the top corner with the DRS open, he's closing, but we managed to just cross the line before he catches us and hold down a podium position there in the second to last race of the season.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, Lance Stroll would be my pick. He managed to keep a cool head today whilst pushing through the field.
Let's move on to the Constructors, and it's another title in the bag for Red Bull. After a long and hard-fought season, they built an astonishing car this year, and the glory they'll be taking back to Milton Keynes is fully deserved. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So only 2 DNFs this race, a pretty tight field spread, 49 seconds from first to the last finisher there. But you see George Russell still falling his way down the standings. Lando Norris has moved up ahead of him, but we are just barely keeping our team afloat. 253 of our roughly 300 team points came from me, and I think George Russell's still on 39 points, so rough
Good day
for
today. Let's have
him.
your
Rough
take on
season
it.
so far, unfortunately.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
Oh yeah, and I'm thrilled with the support. I mean, it wasn't the best strategy we ran, but we kept it in
Did
it.
you say that your rival is still on your level?
At this point, I tried to be very diplomatic on, but clearly not at this stage. I mean, he's finishing out of the points consistently, and we're just kind of shredding
that's
him in the
everything.
championship.
Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.
Yeah, I thought we would finish a little better starting P2 in that race, but again, the tire wear just did not behave the way it did quite in practice. The tires definitely had a lot more life in the practice phases of the weekend, and they really just kind of fell off. But we're gonna go ahead and crunch down the last of the major developments and see what we can do with the remaining 880. We should only have a handful left to adapt at the remaining portion of this season in the last race, so we'll see what kind of points we can pick up in that last race. I think we're gonna have a team goal completed by then as well, so that'll be an extra 600, hopefully, fingers crossed. So that'll allow us to take care of a couple of adaptations there, but 325 points left, so we can do one more of these upgrades. It looks like I'm just trying to find the good one. Yeah. And now we'll close out with 61. Only 6 developments left to adapt for the new season. We did luck out a little bit. If it had been a chassis and aero development, we would have been in big trouble for adaptations. But you can see there's a lot of cars now starting to move back up at the end of the season. We've fallen all the way down to 6th in the car performance grid, but a lot of those other cars I think are gonna take steps back at the start of the new season. But here we are, one more race left to go. We've got a gearbox that's in okay shape. We'll have to see how it's doing after practices and qualifying. We might have to take a grid penalty for the end of the race. Not a big deal if we have to. That's the end of it. Thank you for joining me. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.